Dickson of the Plan podcast. Michigan's elite political podcast is about to begin, live from the birthplace of the Republican Party. Let's gather under the oaks like our forefathers did. Now more than ever, it's time to stick to the plan.
There we are. Hello and welcome to the Stick to the Plan podcast, another episode. I'm Kevin. I'm here with Russ. As always, it's another Monday.
Kevin, it is another Monday, but I always talk about how early we got the guest, and I didn't do too bad this week.
No, I think I knew last week, actually.
Yeah, midweek or something. Our guest reached out to me through our mutual friend, Amber Harris.
Ah, okay.
And connected us, and I gave him a call, and while we were in the phone conversation, I said, hey, well, I was trying to get, who the heck? I was trying to get
Chris?
somebody on the show, one of the candidates,
Yeah,
and
I
they couldn't
can.
make it. And
Was
so,
it Chrissy Davis?
yeah, Chrissy
right?
Davis, yeah. And for city council. And then I connected with our guest, and I said, hey, and he's happy to come on. But before we introduce him, I will say that I'm tired from a long weekend. Just a quick, funny story. So we had the Lincoln Day dinner Saturday. Huge success.
Yeah.
Probably the most successful Lincoln Day dinner in a decade here in Jackson.
Hell yeah.
I got to give credit to all the volunteers, some in particular, but wow. There were some bumps in the road, like every Lincoln Day dinner, but other than registration, which is always a mess at all these darn things,
Yeah.
no one's seen those bumps in the road.
Oh, nice.
So that's the key. That's the key.
Yeah.
Very successful. Great time. But then, Anthony Hudson was a guest.
Mm-hmm.
All the candidates for governor, and Anthony was here.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, I took it easy in the morning. I went out to put my deck furniture away.
Okay.
Okay. And, put that off. And as soon as I began, and that's a mess to do.
Yeah.
My phone rings, and it's Anthony Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, Tony, how you doing? Hey, Russ, man, I apologize, but I really need you to do me a big favor. Well, I thought the guy was going to ask me for money. Usually when someone starts the conversation, I need you to do me a big favor. They're going to ask for money or something.
Yeah,
I was preparing.
That's what I normally do.
But it wasn't that.
No.
He left his jacket and vest
Mm-hmm.
at the Marriott Hotel
Okay.
here in Jackson. And he was, he lives in Grand Blanc.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where he was.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know, Russ, can you pick that up for me? And I'll try to figure out a way to go get it. And I said, of course I will. I'd do that for anybody.
Right.
But to add to this story real quick, all right, I live in Jackson, Michigan. I know where hotels are, but I don't know which one's which. I don't care.
I'd have to Google it.
So I went over to Shirley Drive, where that row of hotels are, and I found one that said Marriott on it. Wrong Marriott. They were looking at me like I was crazy. I had to go across the highway. Those two brand new ones across the highway are Marriotts.
Yeah, the one I used to work at.
One of them that you look at.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't know they were Marriott's.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there looking like a dumbass.
Courtyard by Marriott,
Yeah.
and then
He stayed at the courtyard. So I went over to the courtyard and picked up Anthony Hudson's jacket and vest and saved the day because I am a great county chair.
Well, there you go.
One of these days, one of these guys are going to be governor, and they're going to say, remember when that guy in Jackson did that for me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes me wonder what was in that jacket.
Oh, I haven't checked. It does smell like cologne.
Yeah.
I don't wear a lot of cologne.
Right.
And I had it in my car, and Sarah and I got in the car this morning, and she goes, do you have cologne on? I go, no, that's Anthony Hudson.
Smells like a Anthony Hudson in here. That's not so bad though.
Nah, you can smell worse than Anthony Hudson. By the way, I will tell you that all the speeches that were given by all the candidates, Republican candidates.
It does that every time. I fixed it. There we go. Sorry.
So all the Republican candidates for governor, except for John James, were here. So that's quite a feat, and no one's surprised that John James didn't make it.
Right.
And they all did wonderful. Kevin, you know who I think brought the heat in their speeches? Of course, my boy Tom Leonard did.
Yeah, actually, I like Tom a lot.
But you know who else did? And you know, her and I don't get along. Carla Wagner brought the heat.
I don't think so. I think she said exactly what we all expected her to say, and the way she presented it. But I mean, it wasn't bad.
So her and Anthony Hudson have a way of getting. I'm always careful how to. The people who really want a huge change in government. Kevin, why is that back in my ears?
I have no idea. Okay, it should be good now.
All right, but anyways, Carla brought the heat, I thought.
I mean, I think they all did well. Who was the first guy?
How the hell did that go? Did we bring Eric Nesbitt up first? Yeah, I thought Eric Nesbitt did first.
No, Eric was second. Was Tom Leonard?
Did we have? No, I wouldn't have put my boy Tom in the beginning.
Well, it wasn't at random.
No. No.
That's what Dave said.
There was nothing random about it. Me and Ray Snell picked those.
Who was first?
Anyways,
it doesn't matter.
They all did well. They did really, really good. Every single one of them.
Yeah, no, they were all. I missed the last one because I had to use the bathroom.
Yeah, I forget. Was it Ralph Rebrandt at the end?
Yeah.
I like Ralph. I like Ralph a lot. I've had dinner with him twice, not planned, but in 1 week's time, I ate dinner with him and his wife. Ralph's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to the show.
Yeah, let's do that.
Guys, I'm really excited today. We have a fellow podcaster as a guest today that brings the heat. That's my new word anymore. Bringing the heat.
I can tell.
Bringing the heat. And we're just going to bring him on. By the way, well, we'll let James give his bio here. James Dickson is our guest today. How you doing, James?
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Doing good.
But yeah, the short course on me, I was born a poor black child. I am now a 41-year-old man. I'm literally podcasting in my mother's basement, my late mother,
Awesome.
Her house in Southfield.
Awesome late mother.
And yeah, I mean, so I've done it all from Detroit News to, college publications to the Mackinac Center. Right now doing some cool stuff with the Enjoyer, but also doing a lot more cool stuff on my own. Got my own little podcast going. So anything you guys want to talk about Michigan, talk about how 2026 is our last chance to save it, any of that, I'm all for it.
James, before we get going, of course, I think a lot of our viewers and myself were familiar with you mostly from the Enjoyer in the last, year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I love the Enjoyer. Charlie LaDuff kills me in his presentations, but all the people that do segments for the Enjoyer in the writings, I've just really liked. So I knew you from that, but remind us of your podcast that you've started on your own.
Yeah, it's called Something Else with James David Dickson. And a great friend of mine gave me some feedback. She thought it was just too generic, right? There's like 6 other podcasts that are named Something Else. So the next one, which is going to come out this week, it's going to be called The Thing Behind the Thing, because that's one of my favorite phrases, especially when I, do media criticism and try to break down a story. There's the thing, why the story was obviously presented. And then there's the thing behind the thing, really driving it. The stuff that not everyone can see. That's kind of my specialty. So you catch me literally in the middle of a rebrand right now. But also in the middle of a series I'm really proud of called Nation of Strangers. It talks about how immigration policy, LBJ, Michigan Senator Phil Hart, the late Phil Hart, how it created the modern Dearborn and to an extent, the modern Detroit.
Interesting. So, James, do you have then a career in with a journalistic background? How did you become somebody that can be creative, like you just explained, and then also present an issue or a story as well as you do? How did you become that type of a person?
That's a great question. I been active in the media in Michigan, you could say, since fall 2002, right? I'm starting at U of M. I
Okay.
go to this small publication called the Michigan Review. And I'll never forget that meeting because it was a rainy day. And you're new to college, there's a million other things to do than go talk about putting out a twice monthly newsletter. And so I wanted to do those things. And my friend who was with me, who's a liberal girl, sweet girl, Kristen Seg, she was from New Jersey. She said, "You know what? Why don't we just go? Let's just go check it out." Right? She didn't want to write for the review. She wanted me to write for the review. And
Okay.
I thought that was one of the great acts of friendship, is to again, the thing behind the thing, right? The thing I want is to be fat and happy, but the thing I needed to do was, to do something uncomfortable and find this new world. And so that's what I did at the Michigan Review.
I see.
And I think the challenge at whether you're moving to Ann Arbor and going to U of M, whether you're moving to Chicago and there's a city of however million people they have, you have to make a big environment small.
Mm-hmm.
And so the jobs you have, the student activities you do, they do two things. One, they make, this big environment small and you can make your mark on it. But then two, you get to know older students and wiser people and you get to learn from them. It really shortens your learning curve.
I kind of like that way you just framed that. Um, people get in a big arena and find themselves finding it difficult to be a big fish in a big pond, or
Right.
in a big arena. And sometimes you stay. It's easy to be a big fish in the small pond. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Mhm.
but if you're good at containing, let's say you're in a big city. Okay, I'm born and raised in Jackson. Okay, I do have an Ann Arbor wife. Okay, so we're not that far from Ann Arbor. I'm not that far. I prefer to stay in my nice little lake house in rural Jackson County. Um, but let's say you're put in that setting and you can make the big world a little smaller and just do a really good job at that, and then
Right.
potentially it would grow out into that big pond, I guess. I kind of like that in a way.
Absolutely. So that's where it started. So I've been at it since 2002, but I I was always a writer. Video, I learned to
I see.
cut video and do things like that. But as far as using my physical face, my physical voice, that is a new development. That really
Mm,
started last year with the Enjoyer Project.
I see.
July 3rd, 2024, we launched. That's my personal Independence Day. And it's just been a blessing because, even though I don't podcast with the Enjoyer anymore, uh, having almost 115 episodes gives me practice I would not have had.
I
I'm
see.
on a computer, on cameras, on speakers, green screen behind me, lights, cameras, action. None of it would have existed but for my friends at the Enjoyer.
I get it.
And so even, I also tell Bible stories. I do this thing called Sunday School in 60 Seconds.
Mm.
And you have to find the blessing in the breakdown. So, right, even in a not great situation, like, oh my God, I had this great podcast and now I don't. There was something inside there where God is saying, you know what, I got your back, and I this has all happened for a reason. God meant it for good. So that's what happened, and so now at the end of the Enjoyer, having done mainstream media, the Detroit News, having done another newsletter type thing in Michigan Capital Confidential, now I am truly independent and I'm having more fun than I've ever had.
So, James, do you think, and I think people who may not be familiar with you that might be tuning into us today, pay attention to this, because I have found that in your bio that you sent me, you very are good at wrapping in a issue, political issue, no matter what, within a small amount of time and getting to the points. I found that about you. Do you think that is because of your writing background, that that you condense in what you need people to read? Same thing with your content on social media. With podcasting or something, is that where that background comes from? I mean, you are good at that. Me and Kevin, it takes us an hour and a half to get a show done, and we usually walk away. I don't know if we got anything resolved.
Yes, I think I create and present things visually because I started from that base of being a writer first.
Sure.
And so when you go 20 years down that path, even if I have to present something like in a video format, it'll have a certain density and certain weight to it. Whereas if I just started off in the TV news world, it might feel more airy and light and kind of substance free, because anyone could explain something for 30 seconds, right? You just talk and then eventually the time runs out. And so I try to bring that newspaper mentality of, I'm going to load you up with information. I'm going to make this mountain of facts that's worthwhile to climb. But I also know, this being the modern age, that people don't have attention spans the way they used to. People do not read. I wish they did, but they don't. So it doesn't matter what I want. It matters what they want. And so I think the reason the news is failing is the same reason podcasters are succeeding. The news says, here's what I want to give you. The independent creator who knows that they're not owed anything says, what do you need from me?
So Kevin and I, it's similar what we were talking about before the show started. That I told you, all of a sudden 2:00 came up on us, and you were chiming in.
Right.
In Kevin's longtime podcast, you've been a few years on Grandma's Boy podcast.
I think we're going into my 4th year.
Right, and because we're 2 years
That's incredible.
here, we're 2 years here at Stick to the Plan. But he started in his grandma's shed.
Yeah.
His grandma's she shed, screwing around, and created Grandma's Boy podcast.
It was very well insulated. It was great sound.
And there's, it is not a political podcast, like I was saying. It is purely entertainment, if you want to call it entertainment.
I call it infotainment.
It's interesting.
Yes.
What happened is Kevin was in a year into that or so, and I said, Kevin, you want to do a podcast, a political podcast with your dad? I says, I think I can connect with a lot of good guests and all this. And he's like, sure, Dad, let's do it. And that's where we're here today. But we were talking. You're so right. Nobody reads anymore. Nobody watches the news. I can't tell you the last time I watched local news. I can't recall.
It's really sad.
I am a Newsmax, Fox News watcher in the morning, drinking my coffee. Other than that, I'm not connected there a lot. It's mostly online. Since I do a podcast, I have gotten into other political podcasts that I watch.
Right.
But people my age or older who are tuning into this show like later, they're like, I don't have time to sit and watch an hour and a half podcast. And I always tell them, you don't have to watch us. I'm not worth watching. Me and Kevin, come on. But just tune in, find it as you're working around the house or whatever. Use it like a radio. Listen to the show. You don't have to sit
in
down
the background. That's exactly it. Clean your house, take a walk, have it on.
Right.
We're not saying build a life around it.
You can pause it. You can come back later. And I've had limited success at people my age or older to start doing that. They'll say, oh, wow, Russ, that was a good show, or whatever the heck they're doing. And then they're starting to get into more and more political podcasts. But we were just talking about it, is these darn clips. Okay, we have taken this show before and looked at, that was a good moment there, Kevin. Will you cut out this clip? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? We throw a clip out, but it's cumbersome to to find what you think is the best clip, the one that people are going to be interested in,
Mhm.
on and on and on. And then also too, they're not getting the full story in that minute clip. The attention span has gone from down to a minute.
Well,
Yeah,
and
so here's the thing about that. I agree with the minute clip strategy. So here's the thing. If you were to post this on Substack, right? Just the
Right.
raw video, Substack will make clips. It will make clips for you, right? So YouTube Shorts is another one. Like when when my podcast get posted on YouTube, it'll typically make like 4 or 5 shorts also, kind of reel type videos, you know?
So it goes through it on its own
Yeah.
and cuts out what it thinks is a clip moment.
Absolutely, but also on Substack, you have a clip tool. So say you do find that moment that you think people need to know about, you can, quickly edit it. It's a very intuitive. You can do it on the desktop, no special technology. They've really tried to simplify that process because they
Rumble has
know
something similar, but
they know it's very hard to get people to watch or listen to anything or to read or to care.
Yeah.
Right.
It is an uphill battle.
So because I know this show in particular. Now, Kevin's show, his personal show, there's probably a huge element people interested in that content. Now, you take a political podcast like this one, we have it too. We're defining our audience here.
right. And
Right.
well, that's the thing, and I'll try and explain to you before the show is that you have to, for people to watch the clips. The clips are awesome, but you have to have people interested in your content. If they're not interested in your content, they're not just going to watch your clip.
Okay, I'm an old guy. I'm on Facebook.
If you're used to watching the news at 6 o'clock.
No, but listen to me, Kevin. Hear me out. He's
Yeah.
very defensive because it ain't Rumble.
No, it's not even that. Rumble has clips too, just like the
all right.
Substack tool.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
So I'm
Yeah.
old. Okay, I'm almost 60 here. I'm a Facebook guy.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going through my Facebook like a zombie. Right, and Reels comes up. Now, I don't know what catches my eye. It could be a cow and a dog.
Mhm.
I watch that reel. The next thing I know, I'm 30 minutes into Reels.
Mhm.
I had no idea what that content was. It's just caught my eye.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm in 30 minutes worth of Reels. I'm like, I got to get out of the chair and get up and do something. Right. My wife, who works a lot harder in her life than I do, she'll come and she'll sit there and relax, and she'll spend an hour or more on Reels.
That's why TikTok is so huge. That's all Reels is TikTok.
I get
into
it.
Facebook.
I get it.
And you don't even have to scroll anymore. It scrolls for you.
I didn't know that part yet.
Yeah, it'll keep playing.
It's really bad.
But I don't know what. Okay, I don't know what makes me stop to look at that particular.
It's
reel.
called the algorithm.
Oh, the algorithm is feeding me.
What is the algorithm? I don't know.
Okay, once it figures out the ones I click on, it creates the algorithm that they
Bingo.
think that I'm going.
I
to
clicked on one story about baseball. Now Mark Zuckerberg thinks I'm Cal Ripken Jr.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, you would think I'm a baseball historian or something. Like literally one time.
There's a comedian. I forget his name right now. See, the algorithm catches this because I like stand-up comedians. I wish I could think of his name, but he says that Amazon has figured out that he's an overweight middle-aged man because they advertise Cool Ranch Doritos. He goes, well, how did Amazon know that I would like a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos? And he got thinking it's because he ordered an extra large shirt and he had to return it for a 2X shirt. And now they know he's a fat ass. And now they know that he's going to probably purchase Cool Ranch Doritos at an inflated price, $7.95, and they'll ship them in 3 days. Whatever. I want the Cool Ranch Doritos.
It's more insidious than that, even, because you said it earlier, and I won't mention exactly what you said, but you had mentioned something about that you're talking to Sarah about an organization and some fundraising, and then next thing you know, you had ads.
Yeah, we did.
The phone is spying on you.
And streaming TV does that too now.
And phones now, most apps can see what you look at longest.
Sure,
it could be milliseconds.
Yeah, even old people like me knows how that works now.
Oh yeah,
I
no privacy.
I like bourbon, I went through a different bourbon, trying different bourbons thing here a couple of summers ago. And that's when I really first experienced it. As soon as I was talking about bourbon in my house, I started getting bourbon commercials. That's when I first noticed it.
Mhm.
And then, you know what? I purposely didn't try any of them bourbons.
Yeah.
I'm even off the bourbon now. I moved on to something else. So, by the way, can I ask you a Substack question? So there's only one Substack that I have subscribed to. And in that this particular person, matter of fact, he's a Michigan guy. I'm not going to say he's been on our show a couple times. He has a $5 subscription thing. And then when I was checking out your content, it says subscribe to my Substack. Can you control whether it's subscription based or just sign up based? How does Substack work for the user, for the person that wants to view your content?
Yeah, you can. I have a few different ones. So I have History of Michigan Politics. I will take money on that one. I don't put much behind the paywall because I just want to grow.
Mhm.
I have Watching the Watchdogs, Media Criticism. I take money for that one, but I also do Bible Stories on Sunday, and that one's completely free.
I see.
But even if you set it for free, they will constantly try to like in the screen before you press publish. Do you want to turn on paid subscriptions? They are trying to habituate writers into asking for money
Yep.
and readers into paying for the stuff they like. And I agree with it. I just can't bring myself to ask for money for that.
Right.
But yeah, you do have a choice, and they'll never make you do it.
I see. This wasn't going to be the conversation in today's podcast, but it was interesting to me, and it come to me how exactly that would that work.
Well, a good example is I'm part of the Rumble Creator Program, and they never make you put anything behind a paywall. I don't think that any of my content is worth being behind a paywall. I'd rather have it out there for free.
Right.
But then part of the Creator Program is I have to have 5 hours of Rumble Premium, which is paywall. So they're like, you don't have to, but if you want that extra money, you better.
Yeah.
And so I do. I mean, why wouldn't I? 5 hours, man. Well, I do.
Right.
I do one show a week.
Right.
Oh,
So
you do one Rumble Creator a week.
Yeah,
right?
one Rumble
we're being pushed in these directions by the sites, by the algorithms,
Mhm.
and I didn't know Rumble took it that seriously.
Oh yeah, there's you have to have 30 hours of content a month. You have to have 5 hours on premium a month. 200 watch hours. You have to have 20 unique chatters, which just means 20 people have chatted in your chat room.
Oh my God.
And then you have to have 5 ad reads because they feed you ad reads.
Kevin has been able to monetize on Rumble to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Wow.
With his content.
They made it easy, but it's it's a lot easier than YouTube.
I wouldn't say that it's
Okay.
paying the bills, but it's monetizing.
It's starting to.
And plus, when you do this show on Rumble, you do the other shows on Rumble, then you do your show on Rumble.
Mhm.
It all adds up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you've got a handful of shows that you do on Rumble.
Mhm.
We're here to talk about my conversation claim to fame is Michigan politics. We can talk about national politics a little bit, but I'm the best. My sweet spot is Michigan politics.
Yes.
And you and I talked on the phone. We talked about some Michigan politics, and I'd love to get into that. Like I said, we can start with this. So we just had 6 of the 7, I believe, candidates for governor here in Jackson for a Lincoln Day dinner. And I've announced over and over who I like the best. By the way, I'm one of these Republicans. Whoever wins the nomination, I'm in.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
in. I'm also someone who supported Mike Rogers in last year's campaign, and was very, very reluctant for him getting in the second time. My first response when Mike Rogers called me was like, "Why, dude? He called all the county chairs and district chairs." I'm like, "Dude, you just lost. I didn't see that coming." But I am that kind of Republican. We know Mike Rogers is going to be a nominee. Somebody, I forget her name, announced on the island. But I'm all in then on Mike Rogers. I'm that kind of Republican, but I definitely understand the other types of Republicans that don't like Mike Rogers or gravitate to Carla Wagner when I'm a Tom Leonard guy. And I advocate a lot. Whoever wins, if you want to be a member, okay, if you want to just be a voting Republican, you do what you want.
Right.
But if you want to be a member of the Republican Party, I feel it's your obligation to go all in on whoever the nominee is to elect Republicans. And I'll get pushback from that a lot. I really do. I get new members that'll come in sometimes and will take it personal that they like Anthony Hudson and I like Tom Leonard. And I'm like, hey, listen, I like Anthony Hudson too. He's a pretty decent guy. I really don't mind the guy. You don't.
Yeah, I just got his coat out of the Marriott. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Right. I ended up not putting my deck furniture away because of Anthony Hudson.
Yeah.
Primaries destroy us a lot. And I'm one of those bridge builders, try to be. Don't let primaries destroy us. Support the candidate that you like in the primary, fight like hell for him. But when the general comes around, we're all in on that person who wins the general. And maybe we can build a conversation off that. Where are you at, James?
And that's a hurdle that the Michigan Republican needs to cross in their mindset. There is a subset of Republicans, and there's various things that motivate them, but what I notice about this group I'm talking about is that they have a lot more energy to tell you the things they don't like about other Republicans, and you hardly ever see them talk about and against Democrats.
Right.
And that's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up against demons. I am up against powers and principalities. This is not just an election. This is about saving our state.
Right.
And so if it's October 2026 and you're talking about the Republican you don't like, you're either on the other team or you've misunderstood the point of politics.
Wow. And
Fight the primary. Yeah, that's when you do. But I'd also like to reframe what's going to happen in the primary. I think a lot of these guys think that attacking each other is the game because that's all they've seen of politics.
I've seen that easing back just recently.
It needs to.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan used to talk about the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican. And obviously we have primaries for a reason. It's to be competitive, but the issue of the primary should be which one of us is best suited to take on the Democrat.
Right.
Not which one of us is best at tearing down his brother. And that's what I'm going to look for.
We're on the same team. You wouldn't.
Yeah, I want people who do damage to Democrats, not who do damage to the guy next to them.
Yeah, very much so. I find it to be that way. I when I reference things like this, I'm only talking about Jackson. Okay, I do get a lot of counties, and I talk to a lot of different county chairs, but I'm just talking about Jackson. But it's probably the same everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
This tension between it tends to be new Republicans. They run to the Republican Party for some reason, wanting to drastically change the Republican Party instead of joining the Republican Party to get Republicans elected. That Republican is a rhino. I hate labels. I hate them. That's a Rapino. He's an establishment. It's
always someone who's never done anything who's the quickest to call somebody a rhino.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Oh well, boy, I can get into that one. It really is, but it tends to be them. And I'm like, why did you come here to change drastically? Listen, we know there can be change in the Republican Party, but you want to drastically change the Republican Party. Why did you come here? Okay, you should start your own party. Well, we know why they won't. Don't start their own party because then you're not winnable.
Right.
Or same thing with the Libertarians. Okay. We have a lot of libertarians in the Republican Party, and I have libertarian leanings. I like less government, less government, less government. Um, but many of them are probably for real libertarians need to belong to the Libertarian Party, but for some reason they don't go over there because libertarians don't win. So why are you here to change the Republican Party to be the Libertarian Party or whatever else is on your mind? It's always a puzzling thing for me, you know. So
The Republican Party, I mean, I was fascinated by what you were telling me when we talked on the phone, the Under the Oaks PAC,
yeah,
Democrats trying to
you had to go
trying to give the impression that the people they're supporting are backed by Republicans by pulling on those historical heartstrings. The Republican Party has faced lookalikes since the very beginning because Republicans, when they started, were the new party. They were the third party.
right.
And I don't know why. I got to look into the history of this one. We call ourselves the Grand Old Party,
Right.
but we entered a world where Democrats had been around for many decades and the Whigs had been around at that point. You're the newcomer. So how do you become the Grand Old when you're the new one on the block?
It's called
But
marketing.
But yeah, in the 1856 election, the first time there was a Republican presidential candidate,
Yep.
what pops up besides the American Party?
Mhm.
And it's no coincidence that Elon Musk was talking about creating an America Party
Oh
for the
yeah.
2026 election.
Yeah.
So we've always been beset by these lookalikes who say, I like the Republicans, but if we made it more like this, if we made it more like that. Guys, I think I don't have a problem with their goal, right?
get it.
Because the Republican Party prior to Donald Trump was the party of Mitt Romney
Sure.
and John McCain and the lovable loser who their Democrats trip over themselves to praise these guys because they lost so gracefully.
Right.
And so Trump literally had to drag Republicans kicking and screaming into victory. But look how Trump did it. You win it, then you change it.
Mhm.
A lot of these people haven't won anything and haven't done anything, and they want to change it. And when you come in talking about fundamental change from the day you start, that sounds like more of a progressive impulse.
Well,
Right.
and I think it's we're so cemented in this two-party system that a third party like a Libertarian Party that or trying to change the Republican Party to be more like the Libertarian maybe is because, well, unfortunately, a third party has a hard time gaining any traction.
Yeah, they're on the ballot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And right, and so that's exactly it. I mean, look at what this is actually happening to the Democrats. It could be a great
Yeah.
opportunity if Republicans got their act together. You have literally a third party lookalike in Mike Duggan. He is a trans independent. He is no more an independent by saying so than he would be Michelle and a woman by saying so.
And I hope Republicans don't fall for his attempt. And some are going to, And
Mike
it
Duggan is the $3 bill of Michigan politics. I at least respect Jocelyn Benson. Someone in the chat here mentions Teddy Roosevelt. The
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt that everyone loves so much. Do you know he's the reason not only America flipped blue in 1912, but Michigan. Michigan had been dominated by the Republicans since 1854, since the party started. But then TR comes, and it's the only time that Michigan went for a third-party candidate in the presidential race.
Mm.
TR wins Michigan that year. And, of course, William Taft loses. William Taft at one point was his, was his successor. And he creates a third party because he wanted to go against Taft, but lost in the primary.
Yeah.
So it was nothing but sour grapes that turned Michigan blue. TR is not what you guys may think.
But he's named after a teddy bear's named after him, so he must be cute and cuddly.
Right. Oh, the Rough Riders. Oh, he did this. Oh, I was reading a book of columns from TR when he wrote for the Kansas City Star. Fun fact. TR and Ernest Hemingway wrote for the Kansas City Star. They overlapped for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy in 1919 is talking about as the World War II or World War One, settlement, France should annex Alsace-Lorraine.
But that's
Obviously, that went on to be a pretty big deal during World War II.
Oh, right.
I mean, so he had all these grand plans for
We got
society.
a good history guy
And
here.
then dies in his 60s, just like FDR, another guy. Fundamental change of society, dies in his 60s.
Right.
When we hear fundamental change, we should say, why and to what end? That's not us. That's them.
So it's kind of maybe the heart of politics. So inner politics within a party is always going to exist. It's a matter how you're going to manage it. Then I prefer the politics that are against the opposite party.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Most of the new Republicans coming to the Republican parties are loyal to a fault Trump supporters. So am I. Never wavered on that. But do you think it seems to me Trump has fundamentally, by nature, changed the Republican Party for the better? It sometimes things have its own momentum, and Trump has created that momentum. I take the so-called establishments within the party, and I've seen them come Trump's way. You're never going to get him all the way, but I see that the party's changed. You've got the people on the far right, they've come a little bit more center, and the people in the center to left coming a little bit more right. Trump on his own has changed that. I look at legislators. I look at congressmen here in Michigan who in 2020, I didn't feel liked Trump. Okay, but now they're on the Trump bandwagon. Well, probably because they have to be, but I really sincerely think that Trump proved to them that this is the way we need to go. So it changes on its own, and I think it's changed for the better.
I compare Trump to Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. You know, he inherits an absolute stinker, a loser. But there are people who think that they're just, oh my God, don't change a thing.
Yeah.
And what he found is that there's an awful lot of people in Ann Arbor. They don't admit this, but it's true, who are a lot more comfortable being what we were last year, an 8-win team, a 9-win team, a 10-win team that just always happens to come up short in the biggest of games. Trump had
member berries in history, mostly.
Yeah, Harbaugh had to drag Michigan kicking and screaming to a national championship. We're the program where Bo Schembechler says, all I want is Big Ten titles. No, all you won was Big Ten titles. If you're not here for Dominion, then you haven't read the book. And so both these guys, they're, I'd say, more disruptive than even a fundamental change. And what they're trying to disrupt is people who are very comfortable losing with honor. And that needed to be disrupted.
Yeah,
the model is you're going to be a John McCain. Imagine, you can't tell me your party's serious about winning when the Democrats field the most attractive candidate since JFK and Barack Obama, and you field John McCain?
Right.
You can't tell me you really wanted to win.
Right. I think our U.S. Senate minority leader, McConnell, you know, he doesn't want to be the majority leader.
No.
There's the theories out there how once you're in those positions, the flow of money is good enough. And I'm sure that's true. But yeah, if you're going to be the Senate majority leader, minority leader, you got to want to be able to pull them over the finish line. Trump doesn't stop short of winning ever. Second place is never good enough.
He takes it personal when he is in second place. Second place is just first loser.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Actually, you're very right about that.
You know, there's a book that Bear Bryant wrote, or I guess it was written for him, but a quote he said, and he talked about how at Alabama you don't play for the tie. Obviously a reference to 1966, to the Michigan State, Notre Dame. They could go for it. Someone could win a national championship, but no one really pushes for victory.
Right.
And there's a lot of that in the Republican Party. There's a lot of that that does not want to win. For a lot of people, it's about preserving relationships with the left.
Sure.
And so Trump has said you can win, A, and B, you don't have to be just this minority party, this loyal opposition. And that dynamic, that all owes to FDR. When Democrats hold the presidency from 1933 to 1953, it created a dynamic that was set in stone where Democrats try to do things and Republicans beg that they go the speed limit.
You're right. Don't take it too far. Don't take it too hard on
it. Bill Buckley, National Review in the founding editorial in 1955. This is coming after 20 years of Democrats in the White House. National Review says we're standing athwart history yelling stop. You see how that is a bird of a different feather from controlling the train? No, you want to sit up with pinkies up and say, stop, please don't go so fast. You don't think you have the right to lead. And then that creates this mentality now among the National Review Republican, where a lot of those guys are now moved on to Bulwark and Lincoln Project. Sure. They're not even pretending to be Republicans anymore. And it created this dynamic where they think to get things done, to use the power of government, is to be a progressive. And so anytime someone talks about winning, anytime someone actually wants to use the power of the presidency to make life better for Americans, now they accuse you of being progressive. No, progressive is letting Democrats win.
I agree.
It's very progressive, yes.
We do that on a local level here. I find myself being more of a strategist, and I'm probably not a strategist, right, Kevin? But they'll say, Jackson County, for example, is a Republican county. The city isn't, like many counties in the state. We lost our city council 5-6 years ago, totally to leftist. Okay. Up until then, we usually used to have some pretty decent conservatives on the council. We have none. And they just made an announcement that a former mayor might run for mayor, who is really what started this leftist movement in the city of Jackson. And they're like, Russ, who are you going to find to run for mayor? I go, well, I don't really know if we're going to, right? And, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, well, we got state house seats to run here to protect. You got to take the strategy and say, okay, what's more important, 2 state house seats that represent us, or potentially a mayor that's going to be the only conservative mayor on a total city council? At what time do you just wash your hands and walk away? Now, I hate that. But sometimes it's a reality. So do you think that same type of mentality that I just explained often flows to the state capitol? I know it flows to the state capitol. They'll look at state houses they know they can protect and keep, and then maybe a couple that they think they can flip. But like I bring up Mitch McConnell. By the way, Mitch needs to go real bad. The health.
It's sad.
Going with
I saw.
Please, Kevin, when I'm in that bad a shape, pull me out of the limelight.
I'll take you out back like an old horse with a
Put
broken
me
leg.
in the home.
Take the keys, take the microphone. No more podcasting, Dad.
They're my microphone, so it won't be a problem.
Wow. I can't believe Joe Biden's wife would parade him out there like that. My wife would be like, I can't take you out there like that. She might. Kevin,
for the money. I mean,
that wasn't her letting it happen. That was her wanting it to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because Joe Biden, I mean, this lady had people calling her doctor for like 3 years.
Well, she has an honorary doctorate.
I thought she was a real doctor until, a year and a half, 2 years ago.
The way it was explained to me as a journalist is if they could not read an x-ray, they're not a doctor.
Doesn't she have a doctorate in education?
No, she has an honorary doctorate. A university said, hey, honorarily, we're going to give you a doctorate. Speak at our college. So she didn't even go to that college. She might have went to the college. I don't know, but she didn't. She doesn't have a doctorate.
For the first year or two of his presidency, I thought she was like a real MD somewhere, some sort of MD.
No.
Freaking amazing.
There's a lot of that going around in the Senate race. You got this guy Abdul El Sayed, who goes on off the record, lets them call him Dr. El Sayed, even though we know and he knows he never got his medical license. He never worked as a doctor. And so now even the media is complicit in telling lies.
Kevin used to be a strip club DJ, and he used to go by Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
I think he had more of a claim to his name than El Sayed does to be
You're probably right.
All right, and I did misspeak. She does have she is a doctor of education in educational leadership, but I
think she did have a doctorate.
Something. Yeah, there was, but I thought that was an honorary degree.
I thought she probably got an honorary degree.
Bachelor's degree in education from University of Delaware.
So she's an educator of some sort.
Master's degree in education.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just double checking because the way you said it, and then I was like, no, but I knew she wasn't a medical doctor.
No.
She's just a teacher of teachers. Those who can't do teach.
It doesn't take a doctor to see something's not right here.
No.
Right.
Well, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
And he pooped himself in front of the Pope. That's when you kind of got to pull the plug there, if you ask me. But,
well,
you shouldn't poop yourself.
Shit happens, Kevin.
Yeah, I know. But
okay.
I mean, I have, but I'm not the president.
You haven't met the Pope yet either. Maybe one day.
Well, I mean, I've been to Chicago before, so I might have.
All right, cool.
The new Pope's from Chicago.
Right.
Jackson does a Under the Oaks speakers. Let's talk about Under the Oaks for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not the greatest historian, but I live this every day of my life, being born and raised in Jackson, and we are the proud birthplace of the Republican Party. In matter of fact, it's not half mile from the studio we're in. We broadcast from downtown Jackson, and it's the city of Jackson owns the location. It's a corner in a neighborhood. At one point, it was a prominent neighborhood, and now it's not that well.
Mm-hmm.
Now the city
reverse gentrified.
Yeah, the city does really well, believe it or not, maintaining that park. So we on July 4th or July 6th of every year, that's the birth date of the Republican Party, we have a celebration there. We've had large celebrations. We've had just get together and say some words celebrations. The problem is it's up against the 4th of July, and to do large celebrations, it's sometimes difficult because people just like this last year, we just come up with the 4th of July weekend.
Right. They're celebrated out at that point.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I was talking to our party treasurer, who is also, very events oriented. And we were like doing an event on maybe our next Lincoln Day. We don't do Lincoln Days in Jackson every year, about every year and a half. And we'd like to get on that pattern. We've done Lincoln Day dinners on July 6th, but we looked at it and I think it falls on a Monday this year.
Yeah.
We're like, you're screwed. You're never going to hit the date. It's so hard, but we do something every year down there. And Turning Point Action a couple of years ago sent myself and many other county chairs and Shane Trejo from the Grand New Party, many of us down to Vegas for some training. At that training was Charlie Kirk and
oh wow.
Oh yeah, Don Jr. was there. It was a heck of an event. It really was. They purposely they had it after some training. They said, "Hey, we're buying food and drinks at this lounge over here. Of course, for free food and drinks, everybody goes over there." And they purposely sat me next to this young guy who is the chair of Ripa, Wisconsin's Republican Party.
Yes.
Yes. And Ripa, Wisconsin claims they are the birthplace of the Republican Party. And they thought that they'd get a kick out of that.
Absolutely. I get such a kick out of knowing that.
You do, yeah. And you know what? He's he's probably in his mid-30s, young, energetic, educated guy. We had a good time together. Supporters of Jackson or Ripa would come by. We had a good time. It was good to meet him. I was supposed to keep contact with him, but I haven't done so. Kind of wish I had now. But the best way to explain this is Congressman Wahlberg just said it at our Lincoln Day dinner the other day. So Ripa, Wisconsin says we need to create an abolitionist party.
Right.
And we're going to call it the Republican Party. But they didn't have the wherewithal to create the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow the meeting was located in Jackson, Michigan, downtown. And it was on a super hot July day. And it was in a building. It was too hot. And they moved it 2 blocks west.
This was about a century before AC, for those who are listening.
Oh yeah, there was no AC. None. Did they even invent fans then?
Right.
Electric fans.
I think like the big ones that they would hold in front of the Queen of Sheba,
Right.
but not for personal use.
And that's where the elected delegates in the Republican Party was born. So we are the birthplace of the Republican Party, and that's the best way that I can explain it. There's other people that explain it a whole lot better than me, but I often know. So there's 83 counties in Jackson, and of course the big ones: Kenton, Oakland, Macomb, Wayne County. But when you talk about Republican areas, big, strong GOPs, those big counties like that. Jackson would be just a small. If it wasn't for us being the birthplace of the Republican Party, we wouldn't have be able to put the mark in Republican politics like we do.
Right.
So we're fortunate that we have that. We have had events down there where a couple hundred people, but often because of what I just explained, 12, 20, 25. I think last year we had 30 people who went down there and had some cookies and said a prayer and a couple of words and left. I would like to, if July 6th falls on a Wednesday in 2 more years, which it should, that's the timing to do something big, in my opinion, because you got a little distance from the 4th of July weekend. I don't know. It's always a balance with being near the 4th of July. And then 2 years later, they elected Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where we are today. But
I mean, and so the way I would split that baby, you remember being young and maybe your mom would say, "Oh, that's the hospital you were born at."
Oh yeah.
That's Jackson. She probably didn't take you to the back seat of the car and say that's where you were conceived.
Right.
That's ripping.
You know what?
So that's the difference.
Nailed it. You just nailed it. You just nailed it. Oh,
that's the difference. It's almost indecent to talk about ripping. I'm embarrassed when they mention it for that reason, because it's just too much, right? I don't need to know all that. Just tell me where it was born.
Where it was born, right?
At
right.
Jackson.
Oh man, I don't know if Congressman Wahlberg will ever explain it that way, but that might be my new way of explaining it.
I think what they really achieved in Ripon is putting it on a building.
So when I was talking to that young man there, we are a historical marker. That park is an historical marker. The problem with the Ripa, Wisconsin schoolhouse, it's a schoolhouse, for many, many years that sat on property owned by somebody.
Oof.
And it got developed. And they had to physically pick up the schoolhouse and move it to a different location.
They don't control the location?
They still don't. They still don't. They still don't. Now, everybody thinks that the Jackson Republican Party should or does control the location here in Jackson. It is a city-owned park. Like I said, we've been taken over by leftists, and there's been a couple of years where the city didn't take care of the park that well. But we've got this great young man who created the Jackson Historical Society. And ever since then, since that's a big part of Jackson history, they've taken real good care of that location. There's talk about moving parts of the artifacts. There's a rock and some plaques and stuff, and put it in a museum. But there's a little pushback on that. You don't want to diminish the location.
Yes.
Of where
Oh,
everything
yeah,
happened.
absolutely. Because then we're just like Ripa.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. They have-
Bingo. I mean, then let's just move the whole thing to a park, and then you don't control the land. You have to. I think controlling the spot is so much more
To
important.
preserve it, you have to. I mean,
Yeah.
how else can you preserve any of the history?
Yeah, there's been updates over the years. Of course, it is a park where you can sit and eat your lunch or whatever. Now they don't tend to do that.
I wouldn't.
They smoke a lot of marijuana and other things down there. But the cops chase them out, and
Yeah, they do a good
all
job.
that.
It's got over the years. It's gotten way nicer.
Oh yeah, and some of the, you would think that those old trees around there, Kevin, are some of the original trees. They're old oak trees.
Yeah.
I don't know how old oak tree survives, but I've heard some of them surviving, a few hundred years.
That's a good question for Matt.
Yeah, big old oak trees down there. It's a beautiful spot with some beautiful, like many cities in Michigan, old homes. Some of them taken care of really good, and some of them not. But
Let me ask you this. So you guys obviously have a great respect for the history, which I think is great to see. Democrats live in a county named for Andrew Jackson,
right?
right? How does that history land for them? I mean, that's their guy. They should embrace it. Do they?
They have in the past,
but they think it's Michael Jackson anymore. So,
but there's nothing. They don't embrace it.
Because I'm sure they think he's racist now, right?
Right.
And like,
Yeah,
never
it's almost like they don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah. Gosh, history's horrible to people anymore.
Yeah.
Back to, I think you and I said on the phone, it seems like the relevance of Jackson being the birthplace of the Republican Party, I've seen the ups and downs to where people think that's important, to where sometimes it's really important and other times it's not. But it must be more significant than what I even think when the local Democratic Party creates the Under the Oaks Pact. As horrible as that is, I give them credit for two things. Well, one, it tells us that it's more relevant than what most people think. And number two, we should have created the Under the Oaks Pact on our own many, many years ago.
I agree.
And it took until 2024. And then then a couple members of the Jackson Democratic Party created the Under the Oaks Pact.
In my generation, in Jackson, it's honestly, I've heard more, not so much that they really care about it's more like, oh, well, there's other places that claim it too.
You hear that.
And so it's just kind of washed away from what people my age. But
so when Ronna Romney was the RNC chair, she dedicated some wall or someplace in the RNC recognizing Jackson as the birthplace of the Republican Party. But that's gone back and forth with the RNC chairs over the years. I don't know what the designation is. I seen, who is our former RNC chair? We just lost him. We loved him. Trump's guy. They just elected a new RNC chair, the one right before him during the election. Why am I forgetting it?
I can see his face, but
oh my God,
it's not my job to know his name.
I actually love the guy. If you ask me, it's a lot of the reason why Trump won. I can't hardly tell the story unless I think of his name here.
I'm looking it up.
I hate it when I do that.
Is Whatley the one it was, or is Whatley?
Whatley.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
Michael Whatley.
Michael Whatley. He was in Lansing at the Michigan GOP headquarters with Pete Hoekstra, and Pete introduced me to him. And he'll say, Jackson, Michigan, the birthplace of the Republican Party. So it is relevant.
It's so relevant.
Now, he might have said that to the Ripa, Wisconsin guy when he was in Ripa. I don't know. But he seemed sincere. And then we talked about him coming, to Under the Oaks. And that never happened. Maybe it will eventually.
Where's the birthplace of the Democratic Party?
I don't know.
Yeah. See, I wonder if there's I'm sure there's Democrats out there, not from Jackson because it's pretty big, but that are going, I don't know.
I bet your Google machine would tell you that.
Yeah, it probably will. I was just looking up how long oak trees live, and it's about 300 years.
I think the original oak trees are down there.
It's 1 to 300 years. Some have lived up over 1,000, it says.
I mean, there's some big.
I'm going to tell kids that I meet that Andrew Jackson planted the oak trees in Jackson.
I like
Yes.
it.
And that's why they named it after
Like Johnny Appleseed.
Right.
He's just running around with a bag of seeds.
Andrew Apple Tree.
Acorns.
By the
Andrew
way,
Acorn.
if you have a yard that has oak trees in it, that is brutal when it comes to fall and winter time.
Uh-huh.
I had a small home on not an acre land with 18 oak trees on it. Those babies hold their leaves until January. You're never going to rake them all up.
If you ask Google, it says the first thing comes up is I put birthplace of Democratic Party, and it comes up birthplace of Republican Party, Ripon, Wisconsin. Just so you know.
Maybe it was. You've really got me wondering where the birthplace of the Democratic
I'm looking
Party
that up
is.
right now.
I'm feeling Atlanta.
Debated among historians. A surprise. Single location, university recognized. Blah blah blah. Stand by. I'll get back.
All right.
But yeah, that history is so rich, and like when people approach you, I'm sure that's one of the first
Baltimore,
things they
Maryland.
talk about.
Baltimore, Maryland, James.
Baltimore.
I can see that.
The founding federal convention was in Baltimore, Maryland, and that's kind of what's kind of considered.
Whereas ours was a state convention at which there were 7 future governors of Michigan.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
2 others helped plan it. I mean, it is like these are the founding fathers, really, of the Michigan that was Republican.
Yeah, they also cite Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and Greenfield, Indiana.
So it's
And then it mentioned something about the Democratic-Republican Party.
Was it
founded by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, you talk about Democrats in disarray; they can't even agree on when they were founded.
It doesn't make any sense.
So before Trump's, just a different topic, before Trump's last term, say the 3rd year into that term, I had a feeling, because Trump was just hitting on all cylinders. Nothing could get in his way. Not as well as now, but man, I'm like, this guy's a machine. And I remember saying, this is going to be the end of the Democratic Party. They're done. They don't have nothing. This economy is booming. People are just loving Trump. And of course, what happened in the last term? COVID. And we can debate all day long where COVID started, why it started, on and on and on. But let me tell you, a lot of that was started because they certainly didn't want Trump to have a second term.
Yes.
And then, Trump never admits wrong, but we probably can, agree that Trump didn't handle COVID totally the best. He was taking the information that was given to him by Dr. Fauci. He supported Fauci. If you remember, he'd have him up there in the beginning. I remember me and my wife, who weren't really falling for all this crap, still fell for it. We were watching the news every afternoon in the beginning. My God, are we going to die? Is mom going to die? And the Fauci was there, and there was a trust level with Trump. And then we had warp speed. But I don't think Trump's going to fall for that this time. That is for sure.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's going to hire Fauci.
No, Fauci.
It's really interesting because I think had the PSYOP presented to Trump been, we got this war with Iran on behalf of Israel, I think Trump would have sniffed that out. And that's why they didn't go in that direction. Because at that point, we were still in 2 wars in the Middle East. You know what I mean? And no one was down for more war. And so that's why that was not the challenge presented to us, because we would have balked. So had it been a general, Trump would have seen that guy coming. But in the form of a diminutive, trusted doctor who hails back to the Ronald Reagan days, then Trump being a germaphobe, then Trump being a New Yorker.
True.
I mean, this was the perfect man-made sickness that would have got inside Donald Trump's head. Now you're getting stories about, the people the people you grew up with are dying from COVID. Won't you do something?
Right.
And that's on the pressure side. But the part that really got Trump is the vanity.
He does react somewhat emotional
Absolutely.
on news stories that a lot of presidents wouldn't ever react to,
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was I think it's funny that happened in 2020, because you look back what was happening in 1920, temperance and prohibition. And I think these are kind of the two most womanly approaches to government we've ever seen. Some people can't handle their alcohol, so let's outlaw it for everybody.
Right.
And then with 2020, some people are going to be sick and would be affected by this, so we should all stay home as if we're old and sick. And
Yeah.
it was just a horrible moment. I remember telling my
dynamic. It was
my fiance, like I remember we were watching one of those press conferences, and I told my fiance, she was my girlfriend at the time, Trump's going to lose.
Yeah, that was it.
You don't spend the year sounding like Gretchen Whitmer,
Mhm.
and then people are going to vote for you and think that you're fighting for them.
It worked. It worked.
But I'm actually doing a 2020 Truths series about this upcoming on the podcast. Once I finish Nation of Strangers and talk about how mass immigration was done to us, I'm going to talk about this. So let's talk about the timing of when COVID arrived in Michigan, how it was actually here 2 weeks before Whitmer admitted it, but she waited until election night when she made sure that her guy, Joe Biden, had won the primary to admit that COVID had arrived in Michigan. So that's manipulating things. Then you have Jocelyn Benson. Her nonprofit gets $12 million, uses it to buy Jocelyn Benson ads, telling people of their options to vote from home. Then you have Benson giving orders to the clerks in Michigan saying, presume that these ballots that come in absentee are all valid. Don't go being a clerk and verifying signatures.
That's just silly.
So you put out a bat signal to the world that whatever vote comes in, we're going to count every vote. And then you say there's no proof of widespread fraud.
So you outlined that pretty good, and I think one of your recent or last Enjoyer clips, we were at the ballot box, and you outlined that really well. I remember sending that clip to my chief of staff. Hey, do you know this guy? And he goes, well, I do now. You got to get him on. That was a hell of a segment. And I was. So you're really onto something there. You know, James, what I worry about, because Trump is killing it even better than he did in the first term. Stop this guy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. What's happening in Venezuela right now? I was watching a Glenn Beck segment on this and his theory, and it looks like it's coming true. You know, this isn't really about blowing up drug shipments on these small boats coming across. It's a bigger picture here, to take back control of our hemisphere. We got to run Russia and especially the Chinese out of our hemisphere. And that's exactly what Venezuela's done, is went in bed with the Chinese. And they talk about the 3D chest of Trump. And that's exactly where we're at this. You know, they show us the boats getting blown to smithereens, but it's a bigger story than that.
I mean, you talk about the Monroe Doctrine, right? The idea that he's
trying to create the Monroe Doctrine.
Hemisphere.
Right.
And so what the media, they've gotten so stupid that they're completely ahistorical. Trump does a ballroom renovation at the White House. That you would think, from watching even, NBC Nightly News and on, you would think that no president had ever renovated the White House.
You would.
Everyone has.
So it is like, and this is why the news, whether it is the NBC News, whether it's the Detroit News, this is why they're all failing right now.
Yeah.
Because the news no longer describes reality.
James, what's your opinion on that? I often think about CNN and MSNBC in all these arms of the Democratic Party, and they don't care about ratings.
No.
All right, ratings sells ads. Ads pays the bills. If you have the worst viewership ever and you continue to keep doing what you're doing,
bingo,
they're getting funded somewhere else. It's not in the ad sales.
Why aren't they pivoting?
Why aren't they pivoting?
I mean, and Roger Ailes, the creator of Fox News, he's been asking that question. He's obviously passed on, but when in his 22-year run, has been asking that question, for 2 decades.
Yeah.
Why? Truth. true stories, or at least another perspective on the story,
An
has been made this blue
investigative
ocean.
story that's relevant.
Yeah,
Like Trump always says, it shouldn't be our job to expose this. It's the media's job
yeah,
to bring this up. But then again, you can't trust the media. You can go back to Nixon and how that investigation came
Mhm.
about with Bob Woodward and things like that. Now there's words of, Bob Woodward is a leftist, but at least that wasn't true. Even I grew up watching 60 Minutes, right?
Bubba
Oh, yeah.
Wubba.
In
Oh, yeah.
60 Minutes, man, you found out those were good segments back then. They were a little bit on the left, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. They looked at all sides of it. You can't watch 60 Minutes no more, and why wouldn't they pivot? Why are they still going down this rabbit hole? It comes down to ad sales, and gosh, ad sales have had to have fallen off a cliff.
And even deeper than that, I think it comes down to there used to be some integrity in journalism where your job was to report the news and inform the people. Now it's I read
opinions.
I read the headline of an article on a TikTok video, so now I'm going to put it on the news with
Bingo.
terrible audio, by the way.
Yeah.
Bingo.
You know,
And so what? The news isn't news.
No.
Just the way Jimmy Kimmel isn't comedy.
Unfortunately.
Just the way movies aren't movies anymore.
Right.
And it's incredible because that was always the left's unfair advantage, was that, I mean, think about it, from 1969 to what? 1993, right?
Okay.
Outside of a 4-year period, Democrats held the presidency that entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So our Republicans held the presidency that entire time.
Yeah, I'm thinking back.
And so, that's almost as long a period of dominance as FDR and Truman.
Mm-hmm.
But when you live in the FDR world that says Democrats change and Republicans try to stop them, you're less, able to use that power. And so Democrats, all these institutions, they don't need to make money anymore. They're not doing entertainment. So even when Republicans had power, they didn't have the culture. But now they have the Democrats have given up that cultural advantage called storytelling. And the example I always use, the comparison with the media, imagine you have two tools in your hand, but you can only swim to shore with one of them. And the tools are credibility and the ability to influence events. They've tossed aside credibility and said, we got to beat Donald Trump. Anything it takes to beat him this once.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so all they have left in their hand is the ability to influence events. But that doesn't work without credibility. And so right now, what we've been watching is they keep pressing the same buttons from 2020.
Sure do.
Wondering why it's not working. I called Trump racist. How come people don't care? I said he's going to shut down the government and kill all these people. U.S. aid ending is going to be the end of the world.
Right.
Tariffs are going to make us broke. How come people don't care? They don't care because you told us that George Floyd was a hero.
Come on, don't be they're right. You're telling us ridiculous things.
Yes.
You're telling us
at some point we've
little
gone
boys
away.
can be little girls. You're telling
Right.
us you're telling us ridiculous things. And even I think of a family member who, you would think that he's Republican, but watches those news, right? And he's all wrapped up into the renovations on the White House.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was put in his head by what he watches.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really the problem with DC journalism and in Michigan Lansing journalism.
Yeah.
There's this big gulf between what you want,
Mm-hmm.
which are timely, true stories, and what these nerds who write politics want to give you, which is, let me tell you about the guy who was 3 House speakers ago.
Mm-hmm.
Let me overreact
Right.
about a ballroom renovation.
Right.
And so they're writing what nerds and their tribe want to read,
And that creates the narrative.
and they're disregarding the entire public. And so here's the problem. And it's a problem for the left now. Think about what Cracker Barrel just did. Don't they need to make money? How could you flush all that money on the rebrand? Businesses aren't businesses anymore either.
Yeah.
And so Bud Light.
Yeah.
Bud Light, you torch your brand for a man who pretends he's not a woman,
Why
a
would you
girl.
fall for you're a major corporation, you fall for something ridiculous?
In both of those situations, it was one CEO going, "Now we're doing this."
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. And so
Cracker Barrel, I know, was a very left-leaning woman.
This is communism. This is communism where these businesses are not businesses. They've been captured. And so no one's looking at bottom lines anymore because Jimmy Kimmel doesn't want to be funny. He wants to beat Trump.
Right.
Cracker Barrel doesn't want to be fun. They don't want to, be a heartwarming restaurant for your family.
Yeah.
They want to piss off white people.
Yeah.
They want to beat Trump.
Well, and you said something about storytelling, and actually it fits in perfect with that. Is the reason why they no longer have that storytelling ability is because they have and are destroying the history. And great storytelling comes from history. Like, just because you tore down a Confederate leader's statue and put up a George Floyd statue doesn't mean that history changed until they keep pushing that into your head.
Kevin, they don't even embrace their own history. When you try to Google the birthplace of the Democratic Party, they don't even have history on that.
Yeah,
this is year zero communism.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Duggan, this guy, and so the month after George Floyd dies of an overdose while in the custody of Minneapolis police, the next month, Mike Duggan, this experienced executive, oh my God, we need Mike Duggan to save the next month, in the heat of it, Mike Duggan pulls down Christopher Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
So basically you said, in honor of George Floyd, I'm going to displace Christopher Columbus. We had another guy, Phil Skaggs, this Democrat, state rep. In 2023, Democrats finally get all the gavels in Lansing. They control all of Lansing. Says, let's go change the Michigan flag that fellow Democrat Lewis Cass created in 1835. My joke is that our flag tells two lies. Because it says, it talks about the Pleasant Peninsula. That was before we had two. And it says 1835 on the state seal. We didn't become a state until 1837. It's perfectly imperfect. It is Michigan as it gets. It has a man holding the gun. And they want to erase this history because how does a man like Mike Duggan make himself great? By pulling down a great man like a Columbus.
You got to have some recognition. So you got to be remembered for something.
Got to be remembered for something.
As long as you rewrite history, it doesn't matter.
And so that's what we're up against. Is we respect the history of the Democrat Party more than they do because they just want this perfect year zero where everyone's broke and everything's broken down and they get to build back better.
So here we are, Republicans Googling the birthplace of the Democratic Party, couldn't find it. They've never looked. They've never been encouraged to look. They've never worried about it.
I had to go deep into a Wikipedia article. And while I was Googling it, the first thing that came up was the birthplace of the Republican Party, which means people have been...
By the way, did it list us or RIPA?
RIPA.
Oh, they do that a lot. I hate the Google machine.
We're gonna work on that over this next few years.
Yeah, I'm already putting in an edit.
So we're approaching the hour and a half. I told you, James, this show, we could go forever and ever. I do want to, and I'll contact you. I want to get you here for one of our Under the Oaks speaker series. Yes, we do have something named Under the Oaks.
I love that.
We should have turned it into a PAC. For the Democrats, did they use it to promote nonpartisan races in the city of Jackson?
That's so underhanded.
Them to use it in county elections when it gets time to elect judges. I see them using the Under the Oaks PAC. Got one on us, but we do have the Under the Oaks speaker series, which is a near monthly hour-long event that we do the hour prior to our executive committee. We charge $12, give people pizza and a beverage. And I would love to have you come give us a presentation at the Under the Oaks speaker series. People will love you. And but I think I told you on the phone, my focus right now is getting all the Attorney General and Secretary of State candidates through here before March 28th, the state convention.
Very important.
And I'm already going to have to double up some. I can't even get to the other candidates that will be at the state convention.
Right.
So I'm doubling them up. So, gosh, it seems like that's a long ways away, but it comes around faster than we think. I'm thinking sometimes after March, when we get into April, I'd love to have you come to Jackson. And by then, my God, who knows what we'll have to talk about. I mean, the stories never end in Republican politics, that's for sure.
I would be honored to join you all. I think it's a great history that you are steward and custodian of right now. And we got to honor that. We have to make Michigan Republicans great again.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Where's the best way to find you on the Something Else podcast? How's the best way to find you on that?
Yeah, if you just follow me on X, I'm at Down I-75. I post most of my stuff on there, so that's everything from politics to history.
Yeah.
And it's always a great conversation. So, guys, I appreciate you for this conversation. This was fantastic.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun.
Boy, I tell you, Kevin and I like tell the story. The Jackson GOP is in a 10,000 square foot space. We're very lucky. By the way, I'm barely hanging on to it, but I'm hanging on the best I can. I always say it's a house of cards, but we're here. We had a 30 by 30 space on the main floor of the big office complex that we're located in downtown Jackson. And Kevin would break down his equipment from his home, and every Monday bring it to the GOP because we had guests, and we thought that'd be best to have their guests in there. Yeah. And he would have to hook everything up. And some of our best shows were out of that.
Yeah, we had some great shows. And yeah, it was literally, I would have to be here 2 hours beforehand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then near a year ago, 9 months ago,
March.
Yeah, we arranged the studio we're in, and it's very nice we still get here an hour early, but we can plop in a half hour, 15 minutes before plop in. He pushes a couple buttons and
right.
Look, I have a client. I do a show. He shows up about 5 minutes before the show. We're on time every time.
Couple buttons, and next thing you know, James Dickson's on there, and there we are. And we're
ready to go.
I'll tell you what, too, we might have you on before then, but when we schedule you for the Under Oak Speaker Series, we're also going to try to get you live here. We love live.
Oh, awesome.
We love live guests in the studio. It's our best. We just really like it a lot. Thankfully, we can do these remote ones.